We all know Texas and Oklahoma are leaving the Big 12 for the SEC. We've also heard reports that the Big 12 is negotiating with the two schools to potentially leave early. However, so far there's no agreement been announced, and so far the Big 12 is moving forward, assuming those two schools are going to be in the league for the next two seasons, the 2023 season and the 2024 season. But I think I may have figured out a solution. I think I may have found a way these two sides can come to an agreement and everyone will be happy in the end. What is that solution, you ask? We'll pull up a chair, sit back, relax, and I'll tell you. What is up, college sports fans, fellow members of Mountaineer Nation? This is Coos, and welcome into another edition of Coos' Corner. So pull that chair up and let me serve you up this shot of top shelf college football content. If you like Big 12 football content, if you like West Virginia Mountaineers content, this is a channel for you because that's all I do on this channel. I may also touch on a little bit of West Virginia basketball once in a while, but my main focus is West Virginia and Big 12 football. So if that's for you, please hit that red subscribe button if you haven't yet. Please give me the thumbs up if you like this video. Please share it out with your friends. And last but not least, please drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about this topic and whether or not you think the solution I'm coming up with, the solution I'm going to share with you, may actually work. I want to hear your thoughts. And if you think it won't, let me know that too. But as of right now, according to reports, Texas and Oklahoma to leave the Big 12 early would have to pay approximately $100 million to the Big 12 each. $80 million of that would be strictly for their buyout, which they're going to have to pay regardless. Even if they stay in the conference through the grant of rights, they will still have to pay an $80 million buyout because that's what they agreed to when they signed the new agreement several years ago. Every school agreed to that. So the $80 million buyout is going to happen regardless. What they're staying for is to play out the grant of rights so that they don't have to pay the remainder of that or lose that money. Now, there are reports out there that the two sides are trying to negotiate an early exit. And it would make sense. It would be beneficial for Texas and Oklahoma to move over to the SEC, start playing those marquee matchups against the Alabamas, the Georgias, the Floridas, those big name programs, and start making that SEC money. It would also make sense for the SEC because they would want to get those schools in, get them integrated into the conference as early as possible, and they're again benefit from those marquee games every single Saturday to get those two large fan bases and those two marquee programs into their conference. It could also benefit the Big 12 if the Big 12 can come to an agreement where they can get paid a pretty handsome amount of money and get those two teams out early so that the Big 12 basically can just move forward and move on with their life. That would be beneficial for the conference, in my opinion. Schools leaving early could also benefit ESPN. How? Because ESPN just signed that lucrative agreement with the SEC. They're going to take over the SEC media rights in 2024. If they could get Texas and Oklahoma in a year early, then they can take advantage of those TV viewer numbers, probably get more advertising dollars from their sponsors, and really capitalize on having those two teams in the conference a year earlier. However, how would it benefit Fox? Well, as of right now, I'm hearing from reports that Fox doesn't want that to happen. They don't want Oklahoma and Texas to leave the Big 12 early. And why would they? Right? Because they have a media deal with the Big 12, and they want those two teams in the Big 12 as long as possible so that they can earn that TV revenue from them. So what could entice Fox to get on board with a deal like this and agree to it? Well, here's the idea I've come up with, and so far I've not heard anybody talk about this. I'm sure there has been somebody out there, but I've just not heard it. But I think they could actually use the Longhorn Network as leverage. Ask, well, how in the world is the Longhorn Network going to use leverage? Well, hear me out. Right now, the Longhorn Network is owned and operated by ESPN. Okay? We all assume, and probably rightfully so, that the SEC is not going to want the Longhorn Network. They are not going to want Texas to have their own network when the other schools in the conference don't. You think Alabama's going to agree to that? You think Georgia's going to agree to that? I think not. So the Longhorn Network is probably going to go away. I think that's a pretty safe assumption. But what if the Big 12 goes to ESPN and says, hey, ESPN, you sell or you trade us the rights to the Longhorn Network. We will, in order to entice Fox to do it, we will give Fox primary ownership stake in the Big 12 network, just like they do the Big 10 network. Let them be majority owner of the network. Let them operate the network. The Big 12 can be the secondary owner of it, have a minor stake in it, and turn it into a Big 12 network. Now, I was not for a Big 12 network in the past because the ACC network hasn't worked. The Pac-12 network hasn't been a success. So I thought, well, maybe the Big 12 network wouldn't be either. However, after seeing for these last several months, this last year really, since Texas and Oklahoma has announced to leave, and I've seen the remaining 8 schools in the Big 12 and the 4 ones coming in, I've seen their fan bases really unite together. I'm seeing how passionate these fan bases are. I already knew the West Virginia fan base was passionate, but now I'm seeing that same passion in the Texas Tech fans, the Oklahoma State fans, the Iowa State fans. Really, all the fan bases are starting to unite, and I'm seeing the passion that these fan bases have. And I've even seen, like, former Fox executive Bob Thompson talk about the passion of the Big 12 fan base. Now he thinks that might help them get better TV numbers or TV revenue than the Pac-12. So I think the passionate fan bases in the Big 12 would actually pay money to subscribe to a Big 12 network. I think they would. And what made me think that is several weeks ago, I did a video where I referenced analyst Tony Altimore and fellow YouTube creator D1360, who put together this chart rating ACC, Pac-12, and Big 12 schools in their TV ratings. I'm going to put that chart up for you on the screen just so you can, just to jog your memory for those who may have watched it, and for those of you who may be seeing it for the first time. This chart, it takes out all games they play against SEC competition, all games they play against Big 10 competition, basically all non-conference games outside of those 3 conferences, all bowl games. So basically all games that ACC, Big 12, and Pac-12 play against each other are included in these numbers, and only those games, so that it's a fair apples-to-apples comparison. Because and also Notre Dame doesn't count either, by the way, because if you count Notre Dame in there, you've only got a handful of teams on here that play Notre Dame. That skews the numbers. You've only got 1 or 2 teams that play Ohio State, who has the largest fan base in the country. That skews the numbers. So these are all comparing each other, games against each other. So it's a very accurate representation, in my opinion. Well, when you do that, and then you look here, they broke it down to ABC, ESPN, ESPNU. They really broke it down in detail. Well, for this sake of this video, I used ESPNU because ESPNU is a secondary network that people have to pay extra money to subscribe to. It doesn't come on your normal cable subscription or your normal satellite subscription. It's extra. So only the really passionate fans are going to pay extra for that ESPNU service. And when you look at that, out of the top 36 teams in those 3 leagues I mentioned, the Pac, the Big 12, and the ACC, the Big 12, the new Big 12, makes up 5 of the top 12 teams on that list in viewership on ESPNU. Texas Tech is number 2, actually, on ESPNU viewership at 0.67 million viewers per week on average. West Virginia was actually 5th, averaging 0.55 million or 550,000 viewers per week on ESPNU. Oklahoma State and Kansas State were tied for 6th with 540,000 viewers per week on ESPNU. And then Iowa State was at number 12 at 420,000 viewers per week on ESPNU. So I think that the Big 12 programs, the Big 12 fans would tune in and subscribe to a Big 12 network for their football content. Now, in the offseason, they would watch press conferences. They would watch replays of games. They would watch their team's respective spring games. I really think the fans would buy into this. Now, and then you add into that, you need more than football content, right? Because football doesn't last all year. What about Big 12 basketball? Look how great the Big 12 basketball conference is. Most experts will tell you that the Big 12 is the best basketball conference in the country. And I think it's hard to argue that, to be honest. And one thing that really got a lot of attention this past year was Big 12 softball. The Big 12 softball actually did pretty good ratings, is my understanding. I mean, it was there were people talking about it all over Twitter how exciting the Big 12 softball tournament was this year. So fans will tune in to watch that. Big 12's got some strong baseball schools in it. Really good quality baseball in the Big 12. There's some really good quality women's soccer, good men's soccer, good baseball, good softball. We all know about the basketball and now the football. You know, high-powered offenses are back in the Big 12 again. We're seeing really good quarterback play again. It's got the country talking about the Big 12 again. So I really think Now, I haven't seen the numbers, but I really think that Big 12 fans would tune in and purchase a Big 12 network. Maybe you disagree, and if you do, let me know in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section. Don't forget, if you want to support me financially right here on Cougars Corner, you can do that by buying some merch. I'll leave a link at the top of the description box. I've got several different designs, several different products to choose from: coffee mugs, hats, beanies, T-shirts, hoodies, tank tops, you name it, I've got it over there. You can also become a member of my channel, get in on the drawing I'm going to be doing for a mini helmet of your favorite team. I'm going to be doing that here in a couple of weeks when I get back from vacation. Last but not least, you can support me free in 4 ways. You can like the video, share the video, drop a comment below, and last but not least, subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet. All of that really helps out the YouTube algorithm, helps me grow my channel here, and will help me reach that 5,000 subscriber mark that I'm trying to get to. With all that being said, I really appreciate you tuning in to this episode. And until the next one, Q Country Roads.